The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Right before the show went on, some news happened. Sad news. I literally said, oh no, when I saw the headline. A giant has passed away. You music lover, Sly Stone has passed away. I immediately, upon seeing the news, reached out to my dear, dear friend and fellow music lover, Curtis Sliwa. Curtis, haven't talked to you in a while. Know you're busy running for mayor of New York. Curtis, how are you?
Not good. Hearing the music of the passing of this musical legend, Sly Stone, has made me cancel my evening schedule for campaigning. I will be sitting Shiva the next 8 days, although obviously the campaign goes on. But you and I have always battled over this. I said Sly and the Family Stone, the greatest group of all time in the genre that you said, oh, no. I couldn't believe it when I would hear you say, oh, no, your favorite more than Sly and the Family Stone was who? Say it again, James Golden. Say it again.
Look here, Curtis. I've been listening to Sly since I was a kid. There's nobody that can dispute that Sly and the Family Stone changed the game in music. If it were not for Sly and the Family Stone, for all of them, for Larry Graham on bass, for the entire group, music as we know it would not be what it is. He changed everything. I remember standing up, and not just the music, his lyrics were incredible. I remember standing up and as part of a speech in junior high school reading a Sly Stone song. And it influenced everything. He's just one of the most incredible musicians that we have seen in our lifetime. And he changed everything. And not only changed, it was cultural. His impact was so deep culturally that it was, it's hard to put it into words.
Let me just say, James, you mentioned one person who was my favorite, other than Sly in the group, which was Cynthia Robinson. Play that trumpet, Cynthia. She would sing. She played that trumpet so well. That group was coordinated. I saw them on the Ed Sullivan Show in 1968, and I said, oh, my God, if I die tomorrow and go to heaven, I have seen greatness in performance. That's why I could never understand how you would constantly tell me, oh, Earth, Wind, and Fire, oh, better than Sly and the Family Stone. I
never said the words better. I said, look, I don't want to even get into a competition because Sly was in a class by himself. And I'm not making it about competition today. I just want to honor Sly and just for what he did. The albums that he did, revolutionary. And Earth, Wind was revolutionary in their own way, too. But all of them took the mantle up from Sly. So I wanted to just have you on to say a few words about it. And while I have you on...
Let me just say one thing, James. It's so appropriate to your opening about the L.A. riots. I spent a lot of time down where they were looting at Broadway and 6 with the L.A. Guardian Angels years ago. And remember, he had that album, There's a Riot
going on. One of his best albums ever.
You think they're going to be playing that tonight when they take to the streets again to take on the National Guard, the California Highway Patrol, the LAPD, and ICE?
Curtis, you've been on those streets. I haven't been to L.A. in a few years, but you've been on those streets. What we saw this weekend, number one, what do you think about the response from the officials, Karen Bass? Bear with me, Curtis. Let's just listen to this. Cut to Carlos. This is Karen Bass earlier today on the news, the mayor of Los Angeles.
Now the Los Angeles mayor, Karen Bass. Hi, Mayor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi.
Hi. So what are you and your police force? I know how busy you are preparing for the hours ahead. What are you expecting on that front?
Well, I just have to say that if you dial back time and go to Friday, If immigration raids had not happened here, we would not have the disorder that went on last night. I will tell you that it is peaceful now, but we do not know where and when the next raids will be. That is the concern, because people in the city have a rapid response network. If they see ICE, they go out and they protest. And so it's just a recipe for pandemonium that is completely unnecessary. Nothing was happening here. Los Angeles was peaceful before Friday. When we find out when and where the other raids are going to happen, that will determine how the police respond.
So it is ICE's fault. It's the fault of ICE. It is the fault of those people tasked with enforcing the law that there are problems in Los Angeles. It is the fault of brave men and women who have been sent out on a task to enforce American law. And Californians like Mayor Karen Bass now say they are the ones. LA was peaceful before the ICE agents showed up. What's your response to that, Mr. Sliwa?
What do you mean peaceful? Ramparts, Compton, all these areas where gangbangers rule supreme. It's never peaceful in most areas of L.A. because the gangs rule. The LAPD proved that their leadership abandoned the city. When ICE needed backup, they had to wait 2 hours. 2 hours. The California Highway Patrol, they came in. And then you have the National Guard. They're there. They're doing the job that the LAPD should have been doing from day one, and they're filling the gaps. And when you saw that video, you saw how that crowd took advantage of the LAPD, which was not as intensively enforcing the law as they could have. In fact, the police commissioner admitted that they could not handle the situation. So if you can't handle the situation, move over. Let the California Highway Patrol handle it, and let ICE handle it, in addition with the National Guard that Donald Trump has brought in to tame the situation down.
I'm looking at this scene, Curtis. I'm seeing things that I don't believe. I'm watching people throw literally huge chunks of concrete and boulder-sized rocks down on police who are cowering underneath an overpass. And instead of they finally deployed out and shot some tear gas up and then beat a hasty retreat, left their vehicles there where they were staged. On one half of the highway, it's completely closed because the protesters shut it down, and they were allowed to shut it down. And then on the other half, you've got moving traffic, while up ahead, people are throwing scooters, rocks, concrete blocks, everything down on the heads of these police. And this just goes on and on and on. And this woman sits up and says to the world that ICE is the problem. If ICE had never started raids, we wouldn't have a problem here. Not to mention setting fire to vehicles, not to mention everything else that was going on. Oh, and the news reporting on that. Cut 5, Carlos. Here's 7 News. It's an ABC station out there on as you watch these vehicles being lit up, toxic fumes spewing through the air, some celebration of the Green New Deal, that is. And this is what we get from news.
Large group of people. It could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation and altercation between officers and demonstrators.
Do you believe that?
Now, James, we've seen this before. We saw that in New York City during the summer of George Floyd, where Comrade de Blasio, the mayor, gave the orders for the police to stand down. We've seen that in other major American cities, and we've seen that in L.A. many times, where the cops, the LAPD, has been told to stand down. You know the orders had to come from Bass to the police commissioner, who serves at her privilege, so he wasn't going to do anything to defy the mayor. And she told the LAPD to stand down, and the crowd could sense that. You notice how the crowd just launched an all-out attack on LAPD. I'm sure if LAPD could do what they were trained to do, they would have fought back, and that crowd would have been repulsed. But once the crowd sensed that the LAPD was going to retreat and that they had no backup yet from California Highway Patrol or from ICE or from the National Guard that was arriving, then it was a field day on the LAPD. And Karen Bass and the police commissioner should be ashamed of themselves. They forced their police department to surrender. And Newsom, oh, my God, he's going to try to ride his way to the White House on an all-migrant ticket. That is, whatever the migrants want, we do for them. For American citizens, just pay your taxes. We'll take care of the migrants at your expense, and their rights supersede your rights, America.
Curtis, look, I want to thank you for joining us. When are you resuming? You said you're going to suspend the campaign tonight in honor of Sly, and God bless you, Curtis, for that. But you got to catch us up on your campaign for mayor, and got to come back and let's talk more about this L.A. stuff and what's going on in L.A. and Massachusetts and New York, as finally someone is addressing illegal immigration and demanding that the law of the United States be followed.
And in honor of Sly Stone, I'm going to rename my campaign The Mayor for Everyday People.
Boom. Love it. Curtis, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.